The markets are closed, but the business stories are just heating up. Hello, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Catch up with us on Business Brief. Asian shares tumble as escalating trade tensions with China and a months-long period of calm on Wall Street. All major Asian markets are in the red, with Hong Kong's Hang Seng leading the decline, down nearly 3%. On currencies, the US dollar holds steady against the Singapore dollar and rises against the Japanese yen, but it slips against most other Asian currencies. The Australian dollar, meanwhile, strengthens against the greenback. In commodities, gold climbs over 2%, while oil prices trade mixed. In crypto, Bitcoin adds nearly 0.7%, while Ethereum gains 0.8%. President Bongbong Marcos inspects the quake damage in Cebu and Davao. He first visited the Manay National High School in Davao del Norte. The president ordered the Education Department and Public Works Department to start school repairs to ensure the safety of students and teachers. Many classrooms and school facilities incurred structural damage following Friday's magnitude 7.4 earthquake in the Davao region. The president also inspected modular housing units in Tarragona, Davao Oriental. He was joined by Human Settlements Secretary Jose Ramon Aliling. The president assures full support and assistance from the national government until the province fully recovers from the quake. Another earthquake rocked Cebu early Monday, prompting the local government to inspect buildings. Let's get the details from Mary Ann Uy. She joins us now from Cebu. Go ahead, Mary Ann.
An earthquake was felt again in northern Cebu early dawn today, not only in Bogo City, but also in its neighboring towns and even in Metro Cebu. At around 1:06 a.m., tremors were felt in metro cities of Cebu, including Mandaue and Cebu City. Several residents posted on social media while the quake is happening, showing electric poles sparking the downtown area of Cebu City. Cebu City Mayor Nestor Archival quickly issued an announcement directing an inspection of all offices in both the executive and legislative buildings of the City Hall. After the inspection, officials declared the entire building safe, so there was no suspension of work for City Hall employees. Face-to-face classes in all public schools remain suspended for the entire week. In Mandaue City, authorities also declared the suspension of face-to-face classes in all public and private schools. Meanwhile, in Bogo City, work at the city government continued. In her social media post, Mayor Mayel Martinez informed residents that public service operations remain ongoing despite the continued aftershocks. Since it is Monday, the first working day of the week for City Hall employees, the flag-raising ceremony was still held in front of the City Hall. Mai?
Thank you for that report, Mary Ann Uy. The IT and Business Process Association of the Philippines welcomes the positive outcome of the dialogue with IT BPM companies organized by the Labor Department in Cebu on Friday. Labor officials and BPO companies agreed to safeguard the welfare of Filipino workers in the BPO sector. Although both parties admit there are areas of improvement, these were unrelated to the recent earthquakes. IBPAP says it is committed to strengthening safety standards in the BPO industry. More jobs are flowing into the Philippines thanks to the growth of the BPO sector. David Leechiu, Chief Executive Officer of Leechiu Property Consultants, tells BNC's Business 360 that this boosts stability in the real estate market.
If you look at total leasing, about 900,000 almost 1 million square meters of office space in the first 3 quarters of this year is amazing. And that's just a reflection of how long-term confidence companies have for Philippines. And a very large chunk of the activity in leasing is about upgrading offices from old buildings to new ones. So we're seeing a lot of companies consolidating and relocating to newer buildings because rents are cheap there.
Mm-hmm. He adds ongoing corruption scandals are having a negative impact on the property sector.
The BSP says that the flood control corruption scandal has weakened both business confidence and it's also delayed expansion plans. Are you seeing that hesitation spill into the demand for property?
Yeah, I think this will be a temporary issue. As you know, as we've said many times, this kind of money is a very big. It goes quite a lot to real estate transactions, and that has slowed down a lot because of this corruption. So a lot of people are lying low, and I think the response of many sellers is to be more realistic. So the gap between buyers and seller are actually the narrowest,
the lowest it's ever been
in a long, long time.
Meralco's power rates are expected to go up this month as the company also prepares for the potential impact of disasters to its service areas. Paulo Barcelon now joins us for the details. Paulo, what more can you tell us?
Mai, after a reduction last month, Meralco customers will expect higher electricity bills this October after Meralco announced an upward adjustment of 0.2331 per kilowatt hour, bringing the overall rate to 13 pesos and 32 centavos per kilowatt hour from last month's over 13 pesos. For households consuming 200 kilowatt hours, that means an additional 47 pesos in their total bill. Meralco says the increase was mainly driven by a higher generation charge, which went up by close to 20 centavos per kilowatt hour this month. Charges from independent power producers and power supply agreements both increased, blamed on the weaker peso against the US dollar, which raised generation costs. The company also cited the interim extension of its power purchase agreement with the first gas Santa Rita plant approved by the Energy Regulatory Commission. However, the expected price impact was partly offset by lower rates from the wholesale electricity spot market, which dropped by over 2 pesos per kilowatt hour.
One reason why WSM charges went down is because demand went down. Medyo malaki yung pagbaba ng demand sa Luzon. It was 1,000 megawatts lower in September versus the previous month.
Meanwhile, with the recent earthquakes affecting parts of the country, Meralco says it is stepping up electrical safety and disaster preparedness measures. The power distributor has been replacing old wooden poles with concrete or steel ones, relocating facilities away from high-risk areas, and installing smart devices that can quickly identify and isolate power problems.
We are investing heavily on our distribution resiliency program. We have continuously upgraded all our facilities from poles to wires to our substations.
Meralco also reminded customers to unplug appliances when not in use, regularly check electrical cords, and know where the main switch is located for quick access during emergencies. After an earthquake, and only if it's safe, Meralco urges the public to turn off the main circuit breaker, unplug devices, and report damaged lines or equipment immediately. Meralco assures customers that it intends to temporarily turn off power if needed to keep both consumers and its personnel safe. Mai.
Thank you for that report, Paulo Barcelon. We're taking a short break. More stories are coming up. You're watching Business Brief. You're back on Business Brief. The Agriculture Department lifts the ban on importing poultry from New Zealand after the latter was declared bird flu free. This includes the importation of domesticated and wild birds. The ban was initially imposed in January after the bird flu outbreak there. The Bureau of Animal Industry says the risk of contamination from importing poultry and related products is now considered negligible. MegaWorld is set to reinvest proceeds from recent MREIT share sales worth around 3.4 billion pesos to expand its township developments in Bacolod, Lapu-Lapu City, and San Vicente, Palawan. In its disclosure, the company says the new projects will include office towers, lifestyle malls, hotels, and other income-generating assets. In Bacolod, the 34-hectare Upper East Township is under construction for additional residential and office developments. In Lapu-Lapu City, 4 residential projects are complete, and in San Vicente, Palawan, MegaWorld is developing a 462-hectare ecotourism community. Company leaders say these townships will generate jobs, boost tourism, and support MREIT's long-term expansion and shareholder value. Electric vehicles were meant to drive clean transport, but fake green plates are now dirtying up the system. With all the confusion over number coding exemptions, the government is moving to shut down illegal sellers and users. Our mobility correspondent, G. Baroga, reports.
A Facebook post has gone viral, showing 2 familiar gas-powered Nissan models, a Navara pickup and a Terra SUV, sporting green plates, the kind reserved only for electrified vehicles. The post came from mobility content creator Real Ryan, which showed that while the vehicles came from different Nissan dealerships, both were registered at the same LTO office. LTO Executive Director Greg Puwas says this is an error on the part of the dealers because the agency relies on the car seller's sales invoice when releasing plates.
Inaayos na po natin yan, sinusulatan po natin yung may-ari ng mga sasakyan na ito upang mabago po yung kanilang plaka, and at the same time we will issue the necessary show cause order po doon po sa dealer.
Nissan Philippines hasn't made a formal statement yet, but they say they are already reviewing the documents of the vehicles seen in the viral post. The DOTR is now warning the public. Anyone using or selling fake green plates could be in trouble soon. They are planning a crackdown with help from other government agencies, including the Energy Department.
Meron po tayong proseso doon. Ang mangyayari po, makukumpiska po yung plaka. Maaari po rin magkaroon ng initiative na yung gumamit po yung driver, yung lisensya. Again, may proseso po, pwede po rin ma-revoke or masuspindi yung lisensya nyo.
In short, there are real consequences, and both drivers and sellers involved in these fake plates will be held accountable. For Vietnamese EV brand VinFast, backed by billionaire firm Nhat Vuong, the EV sector in the Philippines and Vietnam is at a turning point.
We would follow the trends of our Southeast Asian neighbors. We're not an independent industry as far as the car industry is concerned. We cannot stand alone. So it's inevitable that we would follow that same pattern of accelerated growth towards electrified mobility.
The DOE remains confident that the Philippines will surpass over 35,000 EV registrations by year-end, even as private firms continue to take the lead in expanding charging infrastructure in the country. For BNC Mobility, G. Baroga, Hanoi, Vietnam.
A routine customer call is going viral after a travel entrepreneur claimed a Ford dealership rep crossed the line. Her post is now sparking debate about professional boundaries. Our mobility correspondent G. Baroga returns with this report.
Entrepreneur Angeli Dobb, the woman behind Access Travel, is making waves online for sharing an awkward customer experience that struck a nerve with many. In a post on Threads, Angeli shared a screenshot of a message she received, along with her thoughts on why setting clear boundaries and maintaining professionalism in the workplace matter. She explained that she had just finished having their family car serviced at a Ford dealership where everything went smoothly. Then came a surprise. Phone calls on a Sunday morning from the dealership's supervisor asking her about her ethnicity. In an interview with BNC Mobility, Angeli says she did not post to stir drama, but to raise awareness about something bigger: gaps in employee training when it comes to professionalism.
I was really sharing my point of view as a businesswoman na may mga hawak na employees kasi mali yun. Kasi technically, luxury pa din ang bumili ng car, right? So the amount of money that we pay when we buy a car. So parang medyo na-resonate siya sa akin. Sabi ko, shucks, baka ganito din yung mga employees ko.
She adds the calls were clearly inappropriate and not at all professional. That's why she addressed it head-on, including a possible breach of data privacy, which was also pointed out by one of her followers.
I am your client at the dealership and you should not call your clients without work concerns. That's it. And I ended my conversation with, please do not call me again. If we have concerns, I will ask my mom to call your office.
And while this may sound like a one-off, this kind of thing happens across all kinds of industries. That's why Angeli's message to her fellow business owners:
we should train our people continuously because it's very important. Sometimes kasi pag matagal na tayo, wala tayong continuous na trainings or reminders. It's a very delicate balance lang eh. Converse but still be strict, put boundaries.
In a statement, Ford Philippines says they have already reached out to Angeli and are committed to making sure all customer interactions meet the highest standards of respect and professionalism. For BNC Mobility, G. Baroga.
The Tourism Department thanks travelers across the globe after the inclusion of Boracay, Palawan, and Siargao in Condé Nast Travelers' Top 10 Islands in Asia in the prestigious 2025 Reader's Choice Awards. Latest results released by the US-based luxury and lifestyle travel magazine show Boracay ranked 4th, Palawan placed 5th, while Siargao secured the 7th spot. This year's survey drew votes from over 700,000 global travelers. Tourism Secretary Cristina Frasco says the recognition is an affirmation of the Philippines' global appeal and the collective efforts of tourism workers, local communities, and stakeholders across the islands. Philippine shares rise in the first trading day of the week. The PSEI ends 0.2% higher to close at 60.52. Majority of the sectoral indices are lower, with industrial falling the most at over 1%. Decliners outnumber advancers 121 to 76, with value turnover reaching almost 5 billion pesos. The day's most active stocks are mixed, with ICTSI rising the most at nearly 4% and DigiPlus falling the most at almost 3%. On currencies, the peso trades at 58.19 against the US dollar, up from the previous close of 58.24. That's a wrap for today's Business Brief. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Join us again tomorrow as we bring you the stories that help you plan your next big, bold moves in business. Only here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel.